right. Well, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Kim Gonzales, and I am part of the staff. This is gonna work. What's happening? I'm ready when you are. Gotta get that moisture.
I'm Amy-Lynn Howson.
And I am Kim Gonzales. And we're with the Extreme Tour. Right now we are in the Dalles, Oregon, which is North Oregon, close to Washington, Columbia Gorge area, for those who don't know geography like myself. Yeah, we just wanted to come and talk to you today a little bit about our experience in this city. We've seen some pretty crazy things. We've gone through some pretty crazy things. And so Amy is actually going to start us off and share a little bit about her story today.
The Dalles is a very windy place. And I felt like today, as I was singing, and we were facing the wind and saw these storm clouds in the distance that were like impending storm, it felt like it was really symbolic of how it's felt over the last few days. That like we've just been like trying to stand firm in the wind. There's been a lot of things coming our way, from broken vehicles to family issues, or for myself struggling with depression. Like there's been a lot of things, really raw things going on in our team and in the circumstances that brought us here to the Dalles. So even the people that are part of ministries that brought us in were facing issues. I kind of felt like that today when I was standing there singing in the wind, struggling with whether I was pitchy or not. Couldn't really hear myself. I felt like I was like shouting into the wind, and yet there we were, like singing anyways, standing our ground anyways. The reason why we do what we do are people like this lady Jennifer, who I met, who came over when she heard live music. She was there because her child and some of his friends were doing the skate comp and the scooter comp that were happening at the skate park. This lady is like, I heard live music, and my husband said, okay, hon, go enjoy the music. So she's like, I'm here on my own. And she just hung out the whole time. Her and I had this really strong like connection, because she came up during my set and she kind of got on her knees on the grass right in front of me during one of my songs, telling people you are not alone, talking about how I know, like, I don't have answers for why you're going through what you're going through, but you're not alone. And that's like the gist of the song that I was singing. And I could see her, like, she was getting emotional, and she kept looking at me like, I know what you're singing about. Man, that's me too. And we just had a lot of great conversation. It ends up that she believes in Jesus, and she told me some of her story of things he's done for her, but how she's wrestling with her humanity and the ways she still falls short, or addictions that she has, or struggles she has. And we had this just really beautiful like connection where I could say, like, I don't have that struggle, but this is like, I have these struggles, or I'm learning God's love too. And we both like resonate on the fact that we both have known about God our whole lives, have believed in God, we believe, but we keep like forgetting that he loves us. Like, he loves us. And so we were both in tears, like moved to tears many times during our conversation, and we just like hugged it out right at the end. And it was just this cool thing where she was like, I was meant to be here today. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be a part of. And I trust, and I do believe that based on different conversations she had with different staff members or different artists on our team, that she was encouraged and uplifted, that like her story's not over. And even though she's come through a lot and now she's struggling with something new, that like God is still going to carry her through that. And I could resonate with that because I had just gone through my own struggle and my own like valley moment. It was just really beautiful to be a part of something where I knew I was right where I needed to be, doing what I was called to do, which is just like sitting on this little grassy hill with this lady who was pouring her heart out, and just me doing the same, because that's the way I'm wired, you know. So it was just a really beautiful way to see God take things full circle.
Yeah. So my experience was different than that. Normally at events, I can find the person that might need to just unload their story on someone, or wait with people as they sober up during our event, or, you know, just like really heavy things like Amy was talking about, like having those really deep connections with people. Well, today was a little different because I didn't have any of those. And like the main thing that happened for me, which Amy kind of touched on it, we came into this city with a lot of obstacles and a lot of heaviness and issues from all over the gamut. And so God's just kind of reminding me, like, there was this little girl who's 3 years old, and she was at our event today, and she was just having the time of her life. She was going up to everybody. She was grabbing skateboards, like wanting to get in the skate park, while everybody, like there was probably like 50 kids at one point skating and scootering all through the park, and she was just ready to just jump in there with everybody. And, you know, loving all the music and going up to the stage. And I was just fixated on her, and God was just reminding me, like, let the little children come to me. There's plenty of artists and productions and events where, you know, kids aren't allowed past a certain point, or they're definitely not allowed on stage. But God was just like, let her go, you know? And so there was one point when she just went up to the stage. I am not a performer, so I'm part of the staff. So I wasn't on the stage. I don't do any of that with the tour, but I help make it happen, help organize it and all that good stuff. But we had an artist on stage performing, and I mean, they just had an instant connection where she even picked her up at one point and like let her sing in the microphone. And it was just one of those moments where you're like, this is what it's about. Yeah, we're here to play music and we're here to perform and like reach people through our music. But like this little girl became not the star of the show, but just a reminder, we can also be like that. And that's how God sees us. And so it was kind of fun because we saw that there was a need in her heart, in that little girl's heart, of just like wanting something. And so, you know, we had extra microphones. And so we just grabbed one, didn't plug it in just because, you know, never know what's going to happen. But we gave it to her and she just took off. Like, I'm pretty sure she's going to be a rapper one day.
she had a good group.
I mean, it was really beautiful. It was so weird because I'm not used to not having really deep connections, or like having some sort of like big thing that happened, or like witnessing like a miracle. Like I've seen people healed at events and, you know, whatever. But God was just kind of reminding me in that moment, like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. But look at her, and like just like that freedom. And I don't know, I just thought it was really beautiful that we're here to reach God's people, and everybody are God's people.
Sure. So as I mentioned kind of earlier, and Kim touched on, like we had a lot of obstacles and opposition and resistance on all fronts, trying to come into this city and be part of the city. And it was even up to the point of setting up the sound system. Like we got here yesterday, we got into a place to stay, we had some hosts that have stepped up and provided really generously for us at the last minute, meals provided at the last minute. God was meeting all our needs, and we're like, okay, we're here, we showed up at the skate park, you know, we're in the clear, right? But despite having a permit and showing up at this park, as we're setting up the main speakers and the monitors and all the cords, a gentleman kind of stalks out very briskly towards what we were doing, and was asking who was in charge and wanting, you know, to let us know that we can't be there today. They're double booked. They have other events going on, and just he was very adamant that we could go find ourselves another park to be at. But one of our leaders said, well, no, like we're here for these kids. This is the skate park. We have a skate competition we promised them, and we've got our pro BMX skateboarder who's going to be running that competition, and the people are coming for this, you know? We put the word out yesterday and before that. Yeah. So he reluctantly sort of let us modify our sound so that we wouldn't be making too much noise, and then he kind of went back to his office, and we kind of carried on, you know, following his directions. We're not here to have friction or to overstep boundaries. You know, he was a director of something, but wherever that miscommunication happened, we're not sure, because we did hold a permit. That work was done, so we complied with what he suggested, but he did let us stay. And then he came out a little earlier because, you know, someone had just shared on Facebook about our struggles, kind of saying, well, we might be getting kicked out of our park, you know, keep us in your prayers. And he saw that somehow. I don't know how he came out. He says, I'm not here to be in opposition. You know, whatever we can do for you, you're welcome here. You know, we just had to adjust something. We're like, no problem, man, no problem. And he was just wanting to make sure. So he came out and his heart had totally changed. He's like, whatever I can do for you, let me know. We want you here. We want you here next year. And then he even came out with snow cones later on to try to like just
pretty good,
you know, make amends. And, you know, and all that being said, like, there was no bad blood. It was not a tense situation, but it was just, there was some friction, some confusion. You could tell he was a little rattled by us showing up there with the sound system. And then the beautiful thing that happened was that later on in the evening, he came up and told one of our tour leaders, like, some other things are wrapped up for the evening, so if you want to go ahead and crank up the sound, go ahead. So it was really beautiful to see how even with this gentleman, like maybe his heart was softened or was opened up to the fact that we were there for this and he was on board, and from being very startled by the whole production to kind of seeing like, oh cool, like they're doing something really cool here, and hopefully he'll be even more open to things in the future that come up from within this community or even just when we roll through town again next year. That was just an interesting dynamic to the whole thing, and we just saw God once again as we kind of surrendered to like what was going on and praying throughout the whole thing, like, Lord, okay, have your will, whatever you want us to do. He's the one who does that heart work and works it out. And so that was really cool to be a part of. Hey, I'm Amy-Lynn Howson.
And I am Kim Gonzales. And we are in the Dalles, Oregon.
And we're here with the Extreme Tour 2019. We're here to tell you some stories from the road. Mm-hmm. Hope that you get inspired, get involved, and maybe we'll see you sometime soon.
Yep. This is Watson McGruff. He lives in my pocket.
The pocket dog.
Yeah, let me just, there we go. Perfect.